Hi, John.
Hey, Phil. Welcome to episode 93.
Oh, Lord.
See, we got it right this time.
Yes, we're recording on a Saturday afternoon instead. We don't do that usually, but I don't know.
Desperate times call for Saturday afternoons.
We're having a harder time squeezing in time to
lean.
Time to record. Time to lean.
You're listening to Time to Lean, and here's a song, episode 93. This is Ed Uncle Hat, your narrator. John and Phil are the hosts, and they're going to have a beverage, talk a little bit, and then write a song about something they talked about. That's kind of what we do here. Mandatory fun.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah.
Daytime. Day drinking.
Day drinking.
Day tripper? No.
Stinking.
Oh.
Lincoln's stinking.
Yeah, we were just saying how it's blustery today.
It is blustery.
Here in April 2024.
Nice and sunny and warm. But there's probably, they would say, a wind chill. They don't usually say that in spring as much, but definitely a wind chill. Yeah. Good night, everybody. Hopefully we'll have
we'll see you in the fall.
We'll have this episode out before then. Well, 92, pretty much wrapped up. Just working on trying to figure out a song.
I heard that.
Just trying to figure out a song still. I got a couple verses. Speaking of day drinking, what are you drinking? Are you drinking? You just got in from errands.
I did. So. Yeah, but I had something in mind before chance. I didn't sit there dithering in front of the liquor cabinet. Here's the song idea.
Yeah, or at least the title. Dither and John. That's a good song. How many songs have we written about you?
Not nearly enough, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, fine. So I am drinking a scotch.
Yeah.
And it is one of the Johnny Walker family of brands.
Okay.
I think I was drinking that last time.
Oh.
Or no, the time before, 91, I think.
Okay.
I don't know why I noticed that, but yeah, so this
fans
time,
of the show will know that you're repeating yourself.
I am, but this is a different one.
Oh?
This one is called Johnny Walker Island Green.
Oh.
So allow me to explain.
Now, if we, so you have never had this on before, you?
I don't think so.
If you did, I forgot. So go for it.
Okay, if I did, I've only had it since Christmas time.
All right.
So I don't think I've had it on the show.
Well,
who knows? Who cares?
Either way, go for it.
It's fine. I'll and just skip past this part. The podcast app I use has a convenient 30-second skip. So hopefully yours does too.
Don't tell the fans that.
He's still talking. Shit. God damn it. So, okay. As you, I'm sure, are aware, Johnny Walker is a blended Scotch brand, and most of their variants are color/label. So there's red label, blue label, black label, pink label. Right. No, there's not a pink.
Oh, there should be for Barbie.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
Why didn't they do it?
They missed an opportunity there. Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe the company didn't want to be associated with booze.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Kids and all that, but I don't know.
It could have been just a little thing in there.
Who knows? They're no fun.
Smoking cigars.
And Johnny Walker is a blended Scotch usually, which means if you're being technical, if you see a bottle and it says blended Scotch, right? That means several things. One, it means it is obviously Scotch whiskey, so it's made in Scotland, right? Okay.
Aye.
So that's the Scotch whiskey part. The second part, if it says blended with no qualifier, that means it has a certain amount of malted barley whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
That would be considered like a single malt. So if you see something that says single malt, that means it's from a single distillery and it's malted barley whiskey.
Okay.
Now, if it says blended, it can have that, and it can be from multiple distilleries. It can also be combined with grain whiskey, which is what we would call like corn or rye or wheat or something like that.
Okay.
Not malted barley.
Oats. No, I'm kidding.
Get your oats.
Is that a grain? Sure.
I'm sure you can make vodka out of oats. I'm not sure what else. Beer? No, probably can't. I don't honestly know. So, and grain whiskey is usually used to, again, it's cheaper. It doesn't have to be aged long periods of time and made in, it can be done in column stills like vodka and all that stuff. It is kind of cheap stuff, right?
All right.
And often really
it's
cheap.
filler.
Yeah, it is filler. Yeah. And it's kind of there to fill out the blend, and then most of the flavor comes from the malted barley malt, the malted whiskey.
Okay.
And so that is how most Johnny Walkers are done. You don't honestly know, but that's how almost all blends. If it says blended Scotch.
Sure.
Now there's this weird in between one. So like on one end of it you have blended Scotch, and on the other end you have single malt Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
In between is this kind of no man's land, so to speak, of what's called a blended malt. And what that is it's let's say you have a whole bunch of single malts in your cabinet, for example.
Sure. And
you mix them together.
Okay.
And you've made a blended malt. It
that
doesn't
could be
have any.
interesting.
It has no grain whiskey in it, but it's no longer a single malt.
Okay.
Capiche?
I got it.
Okay.
Now I'm thirsty.
Now, Johnny Walker, the one and /2, but the main version of Johnny Walker that is not blended Scotch is what's called Green Label.
Okay.
Green Label is a blended malt. It has got no grain whiskey in it. It's all single malts. They're all, I believe, owned by the parent company. So the master blender person just decides to mix a bunch of them together in a way that will taste good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Green Label is also interesting that it's not only all made up of single malts, but it's all 15-year-old minimum.
Okay.
So,
wow,
it is my favorite of the Johnny Walkers, mostly.
Green.
Yes, Green Label.
Okay.
Right. It's also not horribly expensive, unlike like the Blue Label or some of the other ones.
Oh, I'll have to keep an eye out for it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not
sure I've had
bad.
it. I'm sure I've had it at some point.
It's kind of a very mild mannered mix of single malts. It's not going to blow you away or have super deep character, and it has a little bit of smoke in it, but it's very mild. Okay, so you have that. Now, there's this part of the liquor market which is usually referred to as travel retail.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is that there are these things in airports called duty-free shops.
Yeah.
And these kind of shops are also typically on cruise ships. And the liquor business uses that. They kind of send unusual or special editions or something like that.
Okay.
To these shops. Now, if you go to a duty-free shop, sometimes you will see the same old shit. You'll see Grey Goose vodka, or, the typical brands are there, and they're just like the ones you'd buy at home. Yeah. Supposedly that if you get them there, you don't pay any tax on them.
Yeah.
Which in
you
some
save some money.
Yeah, you save some money. It really depends on where you live and
Could
what
save
you
a lot of
normally
money.
pay in taxes or duty, hence the duty free.
Duty.
And so I don't know why or when they started doing this, but there was a period of time where they started to sell these slightly different versions, especially in whiskey. I'm not sure if the other liquors do it. I think there's a version of Hennessy that's only sold in travel retail.
Sure.
I've seen that around. I'm not into that, so not sure,
Is that
but
a
I've heard
cognac?
that. That's a cognac, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like, I don't know, it's like Hennessy White or something like that. I'm not sure. I've seen it around in these stores.
Hennessy Green.
Yeah, that's right. Too many greens. It's not easy being green. And so I think sometime, like for example, a couple episodes ago, I was drinking this one called Johnny Walker Double Black.
Oh.
And a number of years ago, they debuted that particular version in travel retail. That's the first time I ever saw it. It was not a widely made or produced one.
Huh.
And at that point, I think it did well enough that they started selling it in other markets as a regular product, and it's still there today.
Do you think it's kind of a test market in
I
a way,
think
too?
that sometimes they do that, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Okay.
I don't think everything they put in there becomes a regular version, but this is one example where it was first rolled out there. And it's sort of a gimmick. I rarely hear that these travel retail versions are that much better than the equivalents that you can get in regular stores.
Yeah, they're not saying, hey, run over to the airport and go through
Yeah,
TSA and get one of these things.
Well, the thing is, it's not only you not only have to. I don't know if you've ever seen how these work, but if you can go to the Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, there's a duty free shop in the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you do have to go through TSA and have a ticket on a flight.
Oh.
But you cannot buy anything from those stores, at least not liquor, maybe some of the other stuff, unless you are on an international flight.
Interesting.
That's the catch.
So you can't just go there.
No. Or if I'm taking a flight,
You used to be able to get inside, and one day we were trying to find a certain pinball machine or something.
Yeah, we used to go in
the old days,
and you didn't have to go through security until right by the gate. The old pre 9/11 days.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing with all the duty free shops. But if I take a flight to Rapid City, I can go in the duty free shop. It's there with the rest of the shopping, but I cannot buy anything unless I am booked on an international flight. The only time since I don't fly internationally much, these kind of products are sold on cruise ships, and I think they get away with that because they technically leave U.S. territory.
Right.
And so I've this particular one, which I should probably say what it is, I bought on my last cruise, and it was sold in the shop there.
All right.
So this one is Johnny Walker Island Green.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you see it from the name, it sounds like this should be, it's like tropical or something like that. And I bought it on a Caribbean cruise.
Sure. Hints of pineapple.
Yeah, it's some kind of fruity. However, when they say island, what they mean is Islay, like the Isle of Islay in Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Which means smokier.
So
not tropical.
So it's only
nothing
from
tropical.
that island? It's a blend of only that island? Not to steal you.
Not exactly. They're a little vague, but it's basically Green Label
Stinkers.
that has a higher portion of Islay peated Scotch in it.
I gotcha. Okay.
And it's still all single malts, but it's smoky. It's basically a smoky green.
Smoky green.
That's the best way to put it. And
I'm Smoky Green.
yeah, it's your DJ
Jazz
name.
guy. Boys, I'm Smoky Green.
It's like red green.
Except he's an old jazz guy.
Old jazz bow.
I fixed my bass with duct tape.
Yes. So anyway, that's what I've got. I had this on a previous trip before at one of the bars, and I thought it was pretty good. and it's not super expensive. Now, the thing that sucks, of course, when you're on one of these cruises and you want to buy some booze in the shops, you have to get it home.
Yeah.
And there's two problems with that. One is that you have to check it in your luggage.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure it doesn't get broken.
Yeah.
And the other part is that, so this was a 1 liter bottle of Island Green. It's fucking heavy. And
it could add to your weight.
Yeah,
your weight
we
limit.
were already getting close to the 50 pounds or whatever limit that the airline, without charging you tons of money.
Oh yeah, extra $50 or something.
Yeah, it's a lot, and
definitely not worth it.
we were just like moving stuff around, and we just barely. I think my suitcase was like 49.5 pounds or something. It was really close, and so we that's one of the problems. If you're really crazy into this stuff, you might bring just pack an extra bag.
Yeah,
and just put some bottles in it.
My bottles bag.
Hey kids, are you on some kind of international trip and want to come back home with a bunch of bottles, or just random pieces of glass you found? Try the Time to Lean and Here's a Song Bottles Bag. Available for a limited time only. $199.99. The Time to Lean and Here's a Song Bottles Bag.
But here's the thing. It's very good. It's definitely more mellow than, say, like an Ardbeg or a Lafroig or something like that. But it's nice. It's one of the best Johnny Walkers I've had.
Okay.
I would buy it again if I saw it or were able to buy it.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Maybe it wasn't. It
come out
might have been $70, but that's for a liter as well.
Sure.
Which is not terrible.
Well, I haven't been over to your house for a while. Maybe there'll be some left. I can try it.
There'll probably be some left. Yeah.
We'll make an old Roy.
That's right. Except, yeah.
John made an old fashioned with scotch. So I said it should be an old Roy.
I did that last night. It was not this scotch, a different one. But
No.
I was using some Scotch by Scotch or something.
Well, yeah, if you're going to mix it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It had, actually, I used this 12-year Kirkland stuff, which tasted good. I'm a fan. So what do you have?
Well,
enough.
I'm just having ice green tea. So we're both having something with the word green in it.
Kombucha?
No. I might have talked about this before, but I make my own blend of green tea. I use Good and Gather and Bigelow. I mix those two together.
Green tea.
And I like it iced.
Green tea has a funny taste to me.
Well, some do. So that this mix kind of has
fishy.
Yeah, some are sort of I never thought of it as fishy, but maybe it has kind of a, I don't know, just a different sort of almost rice kind of grainy sort of thing, but not grainy, but this, when you blend these two together, it's smooth and has a good flavor. So, and I don't get a fish thing, but you're fishy.
But I'm one of those people that thinks that cilantro tastes like soap.
Oh, maybe there's a green tea gene.
It probably is.
I also have some oolong, which you probably would really hate. I don't have that today, but
I think I've had oolong and it was fine.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that the kind you get in the Chinese restaurants?
Yeah, I think that might have a fishy.
I don't know. I could be full of shit too, so don't.
Well, you're full of scotch.
Well, not yet. It's Saturday.
I do have some Old Forester on standby, but I might not have any today. We'll have to do a little shorter episode because I'm going out later. I'm saving my drinking for later.
I get it. Yeah, we'll cut to the chase.
Well, this is just the 86, and I don't know. I like.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
The 100 is my favorite of the.
Yeah, mine too.
The low end stuff.
I think I'm going to have to stop getting things below 100.
Well, with bourbon, I think it's a bigger difference. Like 86 proof Scotch is usually okay.
Yeah. Okay,
But-
with bourbon, I think I'm
Like-
going to have to stay above around 100.
Like this Island Green right now, that is 86 proof. It's 43%.
And as fans of the show know, over the years I've drank a lot of lower proof.
Lower shelf, low proof.
But I don't know. My friend Mark, this is a different Mark, but this is New Mexico Mark. When I was on a trip to New Mexico, I can talk about that a little bit. But he as he says, he likes to feel the burn. He likes to.
He likes his barrel strength. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that you get used to that too, and then everything else is just kind of weak.
Now I think I'm getting there, and then I like it on the rocks too, so that can. I don't know. I don't want bourbon flavored Kool-Aid. Like I couldn't drink Jim Beam anymore.
Well, it also tastes like shit.
Well, yeah. Then there's that.
It's not just the proof.
I've gotten to kind of like Knob Creek a little bit, and I didn't know that was in the Jim Beam family, but I heard that.
It is. Yeah, Knob Creek is always good.
I think that's got to be one of the best in that family. Maybe not.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it. It's not made. I don't think it's made from the same mash bill that Jim Beam regular Jimbo is.
It must not be. Well, yeah. So I mean, we're sorry, folks. This is going to be a whirlwind, but I might as well talk about the New Mexico trip.
Yeah, you just had a trip.
I did. It wasn't a cruise though. We flew down to via Denver to New Mexico to visit Mark and Rosemary. They moved there. They were originally Jody's clients and she became good friends with Rosemary, and they moved down to New Mexico to escape the winters, which we're not having anymore here. So I had to tease them a little bit about that. But although when we were down there, we got a lot of snow.
That's right. You missed that really big storm we had.
Well, there was some left. My oldest daughter didn't. I said, "Don't worry about the driveway. Just keep the sidewalk clean." So, and it was the old heavy, or not old. I'm saying old everything. It was the wet heavy stuff too. So
very, very sloppy.
She
yeah. You don't want your
complained
neighbor Bob to get on you about that.
No,
You're not doing the Bill. You're not doing the sidewalks.
he wouldn't. He. I remember the first time I met him, he was like, I'll keep up with the sidewalk better. I was like, don't worry about it, Bob.
No, he would do yours, and then you would hear about it for the next 10 years.
He'd post it out. I don't think he would do mine.
No, sure.
And that's fine. When you went through airport security last time, did you have to take your shoes off? I didn't have to.
I generally do, unless at some point I signed up for TSA Prix.
Oh.
And that allows you to skip some of that stuff. And you also don't have to go through the big
line?
the big tube. Well, you skip a part of the line too. It's much faster.
Oh my, do you have to pay for that?
Yeah, it's like
$70
$70 for 5 years, something like that.
Well, God bless the government for trying to come up with new ways to make
I know.
Make money. That's fine.
The last time I flew, it really did save us a big line.
Oh, I bet.
And I didn't have to take off my shoes or my belt. And
I didn't have to take my shoes off either, though. They had a sniffing dog.
Oh, that's why. By. Yeah, if you get lucky enough to have the bomb dogs.
Oh.
They you walk by or they walk by you. You get to bypass a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
They're the best.
They still it almost would be worth it to pay for this pre thing because is it PRIX or is it PRE? No, I'm just kidding.
French.
It's really fast. TSA Prix.
PRE.
No.
Yeah, you have to go and besides giving them money, you give them some piece of identification and they take your fingerprints and
jeez,
a couple of it's basically some kind of background check thing. You just go to a little office somewhere. It's kind of like I think that place we did ours was also doubled as a workplace drug test site or something like that.
Sure. Is this once a year you have to re-up or something?
It's every
like
3 or 5 years, something like that.
So it's kind of like when you get your real ID or whatever, you might as well get that.
It's kind of like that. In extra, if you fly regularly, it seems like a nice thing to have. And then once you get this number, and when you book your ticket, you supply that, and then it goes on your boarding pass. And when you get in line, they flag you so you can skip that part of the line. I'm sure in Rapid City they still do body cavity searches. So. They just love that shit there.
Yeah. Well, people get bored.
Side story.
People get bored. No, I think because I remember they always do this thing where you're in a long line and you come around the corner and then there's this all sorts of like turns like a labyrinth and you're like, oh, yeah. I thought you think you're getting close to the line. It's like, dope.
Yeah. The two, you can get one of those TSA bypass things, or if you're in first class or business class, I think you get to skip all that stuff there too.
Yeah.
Either way, you're paying for it.
So let's see. So we got down there, and they're kind of in the mountains north of Albuquerque in Placitas.
Do you think of Bugs Bunny when you
Albuquerque?
Left hand in Albuquerque?
Albuquerque. I didn't.
That's the first time I ever heard the word Albuquerque. Koiki.
Yeah.
The way Mel Blanc would say it.
but the thing that was stuck in my head was that Neil Young song. Albuquerque.
Oh, that sounds as bad as one of our songs.
Well, he turns them out sometimes too. He has little quick jiffy songs. Let's see. So we got down there, and so it's kind of in the mountains, and for the first thing, you realize it's not in the highest mountains, but it's pretty high elevation. So there, it snowed a couple times, and it wasn't that much warmer than here. But it was like quick snow, or maybe we had like a hailstorm even once too. It was kind of strange. Lots of southwestern food. Oh my God. That was good. But the first thing you noticed was the architecture in this area was, it's not in the city, it's all adobe or fake adobe, pseudo adobe-ish. And the landscape is just all like brown, but like juniper trees, and you might see a wild horse. And actually got to see a coyote, which, of course, most people say coyote, but like an Wile E. Coyote. This is the Bugs Bunny episode. Accidental. It's a shadow secret. If you hear a Bugs Bunny reference, you could win a trip to John's house. No.
Hey.
But let's see. Yeah. So the first time I sat down at a restaurant down there, they said, "Do you want it red, green, or Christmas?" And I didn't. It didn't make any. I was like, "What's Christmas?" I just didn't register. It's like, duh. Oh, red and green is Christmas. Okay, so I'll try that, Christmas. And I think where are you on the I don't know what the word I'm looking for there. Do you prefer red or green when it comes to southwestern food?
I usually am a red person.
I think so too.
Although green has been gaining favor. Sometimes a really good salsa verde is, that stuff's good.
It seems like the red has a little more character to it or something. I don't know, a little more flavor.
I don't know. It
can depend.
I've had some green, like green chili salsas that have been really complex.
Okay, yeah. So it depends.
Yeah,
maybe they smoke them a little bit first or something. I don't know.
Really? But usually I'm still on the red side.
It was very good though. Let's see. I had that a couple places. Drove around the mountains. Saw this place. I forgot the name, but it's up there, and on the Turquoise Trail, and they can't drink the water there because it's been ruined from coal mining. But you can use it to wash your hands. It smells a little weird, but And so that was cool. What else did I see? I saw, I got to see a Roadrunner, speaking of...
No way.
Speaking of Bugs Bunny.
Cool.
This is odd.
Runner. The coyote catches you.
Coyote. But it was a good trip. Rosemary and Mark, we stayed with them, and they were excellent hosts. And Mark likes the fire, the burning whiskeys. But anyway, it was a.
They have Taco John's.
No, there was a Waffle House, and Mark and I were like,
really?
We should go to Waffle House. He's like, I always wanted to go to I love Waffle House. But of course, Jody and Rosemary wouldn't do that. But maybe next time I'll go down there.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Next time
you got to experience it once.
No, I've had it in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
My in Houston the last day I was there. Some people at Fuddruckers took me there for dinner. I don't know. That's weird. That was a weird period of my life. But I don't think I'd want to live there. I mean, it's pretty, but it's pretty desolate. Now, of course, we were there at the it's kind of deserty, driest season. But I'm sure in spring when things start blooming and stuff, it's probably pretty cool. Lots of art. I mean, lots of art communities. In fact, this one
a lot of arts in that state. Yeah.
This one area that I talked about earlier with the coal mines, that the coal mine stopped. They ran out of coal or whatever, or it's getting too hard to get. So they just left, and they left these buildings, and then these artist squatter types moved in. And nobody said anything, and so it just became this artist community. I should have remembered the name. Maybe the narrator will help. Ed? Oh, he's not there. Okay, but whatever.
No, I'm here. You're probably, Madrid, New Mexico. It's on that New Mexico State Road 14. A.K.A. the Turquoise Trail.
Did you want to? So we haven't done one. Did we ever only do one of your John's Old Tech segments yet?
So we can do one. I can make.
We've talked about it. Okay, yeah. and then I have a new segment idea that I'm going to try after you. All right,
great. I need like a minute here to. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll be right back too then.
Okay. Burp.
John's Old Tech. John's Old Tech.
What the heck is John's Old Tech?
Okay.
Well, I've been looking forward to this. What are you talking about this time?
So today we're going to talk about
virtual reality.
Yeah. That's old tech. I grew up with virtual reality.
I remember when artificial intelligence came out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I remember a guy had my first robot. That was cool, really cool at the time.
It did more than just vacuum. All right.
Okay. Today we're going to talk about the laser disc. For no apparent reason, I had many options to talk about. But
you might get into this, but I'm trying to place it in the history of shiny objects. CDs and stuff weren't out yet then, were they?
No, they weren't.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you go for it here. I'm interested in this. I remember your discs.
Okay, so really quick, because anybody who really gives a shit can go look this up. So the Laserdisc it's kind of dead. Not dead yet. Was a home video format on a 12-inch optical disc. So if you can imagine, if you haven't seen one of these things, it's the size of an LP record. It has a large spindle hole in the middle, kind of like a 45 hole, if you can picture that.
Yeah. Well, I
And
can.
It basically played back video on an optical disc using a laser.
A freaking
A
laser.
frickin' laser. Yeah, with quotes. Not Wayne's World. What's Austin Powers reference? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Going to build a laser. It's terrible. And this format, I was reading that the initial patents for it were done in the early 1960s.
Strange.
It's a really strange format, actually. And at least in its original form, it was a completely analog format. So there's nothing, just because it used a laser did not mean that it was digital.
Okay.
So if you can imagine this, yeah. No, so like
I can't.
a videotape like the Betamax will store kind of TV signals, if you can imagine it, waves and lines and all that stuff, on tape that the machine can, using its magnetic record and playback heads, would do on the tape and make these waves, and then it would play them back and decode them. Well, somebody figured out that you could print this on a reflective optical disc, and that a laser could read these waves and signals, and it could be picked up. And so it was just another way of putting that TV signal or video signal on an optical format. So pretty clever. And then so it was print.
Especially
They
for the 60s.
they were pressed on a big plastic disc with a kind of a mirrored surface behind it, and then the laser would reflect off of that and be able to read all these little bits on the disc as video. And then they also had a track alongside it that had analog sound. I think it was just stereo at the time. And so that was first introduced in 1978.
Okay.
Right around the time, funny enough, that VHS and Beta, in that general time period. There's a lot going on, and plus there's another format which I could get into, but I never really owned it, so it doesn't quite count with my criteria, which is called CED, or Selectivision disc.
Oh.
And that was the one where an actual needle played on it was like a video
video LP.
Yeah, it was like a vinyl LP that a needle would play, and that it would get the video off of that.
Wow.
Those are just wacky. Go look them up. They're just the weirdest thing. And it has a long and convoluted history, and it had a very brief moment of partial success, and then it died out. Now, Laserdisc actually was much longer lived because, again, I didn't buy this in 1978. They were very, very expensive.
No.
And I think one of its original trademarks was Disco Vision. Disco Vision.
Yeah, you got to get a
it was 1978, right?
free disco ball.
And I remember seeing this thing at like a TV or stereo store in Rapid City when it must have been relatively new.
Oh, I remember the first one I saw.
So there used to be
huge
a TV store in that little place over by Prairie Market. Do you remember that? There was a Godfather's Pizza over there.
Oh, yeah.
Down there, it was called Times Square. Not Times, but Times Square.
Time to Square.
Time to Square.
I think the first time I saw one of those, there was a little store off, not at the Rushmore Mall, but it was off to the east a little bit. But I'm trying to remember what that was. But it had stuff like that, too.
Yeah, and I saw that there, and it was just wild.
Yeah.
Because, you'd see somebody pull the disc out of the machine, and of course they were these monster machines that it had
cabinets,
a lid that you open up and you'd place it on there and close it, and it would make all these noises. But then it would play. Beyond the fact that it was this wacky concept, that this laser is playing back video signals, and that just like a CD that we're all familiar with, it had that advantage that the laser could move up and down the span of the disc very quickly.
Yeah.
So you could get access to different parts of the show you're watching.
Yeah.
And you could, on depending on how the disc was formatted, you could even do a perfect freeze frame, and you could go frame by frame. Like,
wow.
You could, if you were into a film or something, you could analyze movies and
yeah.
something that was much, much harder and messier to do on tape.
Yeah.
And of course, since it was a laser optical format, it had no wear and tear.
Yeah.
And so you could play them unlimited times.
I'm guessing Fast Times at Ridgemont High was popular for that because you could get a nice pause at that one scene.
Yep. Lots of, and of course, there's lots of porn.
Sure.
And so the
porn has moved lots of technology ahead, actually.
It definitely has. So it's a really crazy format, and it never really got mainstream success. It started out as this competing format. After a while, it was pretty obvious that it was not going to get really big. And the interesting thing is that I think it was developed by like Philips and some of these other companies, and they kind of didn't do much with it. And eventually, Pioneer, a Japanese company, they kind of picked up on it and figured out that it was a really good format for karaoke.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the niche markets that it got very popular in.
Okay.
And they kind of pushed the format forward. After a while, they added digital sound to it around the time CDs came out.
Wow. Okay.
And all sorts of things. And besides it being just a cool way to store video in this non-destructive playback format, it had a higher picture quality than VHS or Beta.
And sound?
At its original time, it was I think it was kind of the same, but eventually it got way better.
Sure. There's more storage or whatever.
And once they added digital sound to it, you could do all sorts of stuff. The picture was always still analog, though. We didn't get digital video on an optical disc until the DVD came out.
Okay. Oh, strange.
Yeah.
Strange. Analog.
It was always analog optical video, though.
Odd. I just assumed it was. Well, I don't know. I guess I didn't know what it was.
No. Because it
looking back,
it looks
I
like a
thought,
CD.
Yeah.
And those have always been digital.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird little format. I always thought it was cool. It was always expensive. And at some point in the early 1990s, Pioneer kind of made a last-ditch effort to make it more mainstream.
Yeah, and a little bit less expensive, I guess.
Yes, they got the price of the players down more, and it started to get to the point where you could buy movies on it in a more normal range, like maybe you could buy one for $25-$30.
Sure.
Which
I remember when you got one.
And the thing that's hilarious is that I bought my first Laserdisc player while I was in college at Walmart. Which is so funny. They had one. It's probably the only one they ever sold. But they had one, and it was relatively cheap. Yeah, it was in Wyoming, because that's where I was. And they had it there. It wasn't a great machine, but it was still a Laserdisc player, so I bought
what
it.
the heck?
This was my golden opportunity to finally get into this format. And after that, I mean, I had no business buying that when I was in college. That was really not smart, but yeah, I did.
Sure.
And I'm still benefiting from it. And I started to very slowly collect discs. And when I got out of college and was out here in the Twin Cities in the early days, you could find them used, and there were a few places that rented them even, which was cool. And it was kind of the dawn of, around that time, maybe a little earlier, that this outfit called the Criterion Collection came around. People have heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of invented the whole special edition movie, that they would have a high-quality copy of the movie with some bonus features on it, like
Sure.
an audio commentary or some other stuff.
Maybe Roger Ebert even.
Somebody like that would show up.
Or usually a director.
And they started doing these in the late 80s on Laserdiscs. And they and some of them are very, like there are a couple of really famous ones, like the first 2 James Bond movies they put out in their early days, that with, I think they either had the director or assistant directors on them that worked on the movies, and they had to pull them out of circulation because these guys on the commentary tracks were pretty critical of the producers of the movie and said some stuff that wasn't very good. and
they get sued.
Yeah. Well, they got threatened and they had to pull it out.
I don't know. That's too bad.
And now, of course, anytime they do that, they clear it all with lawyers first. But
yeah.
Those
was still
have
kind of a no man's land.
Those commentaries are. I mean, you can find them on the internet and all that stuff. They're not that hard to get. But for a while, that was kind of one of the, like, wow, this is so cool. Because the thing is that the bonus feature thing on movies, which is kind of a it's still done today, but not that much.
No.
Is that they typically are, on newer movies at least, they tend to be promotional in nature. Or at the very least they're safe and complimentary to the people who made the movies.
Sure.
Unless you were talking about, like, again, let's say the 1930s King Kong or something like that. Well, nobody's going to object if you say something like this person had a scandal and blah blah blah.
They're all dead.
They're historical.
Oh,
and anything newer, much newer, where the people who own the movies are still alive, or it's Disney or something like that.
Oh, Disney.
People are going to object, and so there's kind of this dearth of critical content about movies out there. So Criterion was really good about this, though. They kind of invented the whole format, and they charged big bucks. They were $100+ for a movie in these fancy sets, and that was a lot of money in like 1988.
Yeah.
And they kind of, they developed this niche market, and it got a little more popular. But I got into getting the discs in the last few years of the format's success, I would say.
I seem to remember, and I don't know where this was, but I seem to remember driving with you and Sean, and maybe there was somebody else involved, somewhere, it was like a residential area, but there was a place that, I think, is that where you bought the Devo, Laserdisc? Did you ever have one of those?
I believe that was one of this weird place in the suburbs that rented, had a large collection they rented.
Oh, it was rental.
And I think I rented it and made a VHS of it.
Okay, because I
don't think I ever owned that one.
Okay, I just remember driving. It seemed like it was in a residential area, and then it's a Laserdisc.
No, I remember going there a few times. They had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it was like flipping through
they were like LPs.
Flipping through LPs, except a little bit more of a click.
Exactly. So the thing that was annoying about them, besides the high cost and the huge physical size of the things, is that you could only put an hour on each side.
Oh.
And so for a 2-hour movie, you had to flip the disc over in the middle.
Oh, okay. It didn't have a auto flip thing or whatever.
Some of them probably did. The fancy players did.
Well, they must have been pretty big, though, because they'd have to actually literally flip it.
Yeah. The laser little mechanism, the thing would stop. It would go on this little track and go underneath it, and then it would start.
They didn't flip the disc.
No.
I was making it more complicated.
It's not a jukebox. I mean, who knows? Somebody might have come up with that. but- no. The mechanism itself flipped over and did the underside. But even that's a lot of complexity. If you ever go look one of those up, their videos on how they work, they're something else. And they did it pretty quickly, but you still had this break in the middle. And if you went over 2 hours, you needed 2 discs.
Yeah,
And
sure.
They were expensive and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So that's why when, in 1997, 98 or so, when DVD came out, it just killed it because
Yeah,
it
forget
had generally better quality right off the bat, and it just everything
So much more
everything else was
convenient.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the end of it, and I unloaded all that stuff.
It seems
Yeah.
like don't you still have any?
I have like
I think
one
you
or
have
two.
Song of the South, don't you?
I never owned that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I never had a chance to buy that movie.
Oh, I seem to remember watching. It
I
must have
think
been a rental.
that same place where we got the other ones had that for rent, and I think I copied it.
It had
The
like the Japanese subtitles.
It
or
was
whatever.
it was the one legitimate release of that movie, I think. Yep.
Oh, there's
So
some good
strange.
songs.
Yeah. So
It's problematic, but
it's really
now
problematic.
would you refresh my memory? But because it came in like a plastic shell or something. Did it pull the disc out of that?
You're confusing that with the CED Select Division.
Oh, so I probably have seen the video about CED at your house or
Right.
something.
The CED ones they came in a caddy.
A caddy.
That's
okay.
that's the one where you'd push it into the player, press a button, and pull the caddy out, and the disc would stay in the player.
I got you.
And
Okay.
that was the vinyl with the needle and all that stuff.
Oh,
Because
all
the
right.
discs were so easily damaged, they had to do that.
Oh.
Laser discs were always just naked.
Naked discs.
Although there were some early CD formats that came in caddies. That was anyway. Yeah, so that's Laserdisc. I have a bit of fondness for it because it was just they did some really inventive stuff with that format that probably should never have succeeded at all.
I think we watched. I seem to remember watching in Laramie. Didn't we watch? We had a viewing of Star Trek: The Motionless Picture.
Oh, I'm sure we did.
Laserdisc. Yeah.
It was for quite a while. It was the best way you could watch movies at home. I mean, the quality was better.
We may have actually watched that on campus somewhere in one of those recording rooms or something.
Probably.
I think you set up
out in there.
screen or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird. Get
Just
the chocolate
appropriate
donuts with the jelly inside.
Oh yeah, those things. That's my breakfast of champions. They were cold because they were at a vending machine. A package of those and a Diet Mountain Dew.
And you're ready to go.
That was my breakfast.
Oh, boy. Wow.
I still drink Diet Mountain Dew though.
Yeah, well, you can't find those jelly-filled
I don't think so. I
chocolate.
I'm not
Maybe
sure
you
I
could
want
make
them.
You could make them.
Because you know what, that stuff doesn't taste the same as it used to.
No.
Probably because we're old and the secret recipe has changed.
It's more wax.
I'm sure. Yeah, I just sometimes you just can't go back.
We were a little pressed for time today, but I think I'll snip in some places that I went to in New Mexico. Like I'll do some kind of weird segment thing there.
Wrong.
I got a new segment idea. You ready?
Yes.
This is called Things I Didn't Know. And then here's the song. Things I Didn't Know. A new segment on our show. Take it from me, Joe. It's better than stubbing your toe. From the Alamo to Ohio, they love things I didn't know. Put on your suit and tie a chapeau. Let's get back to the show. Things I didn't know. Things I didn't know. Things I didn't know. Okay. I was pausing for the song.
Dramatic effect.
I'll put the song in there later. So things I didn't know. Glasses are a pain in the ass. That's it. That's the segment. So now here's the end song. No, but I can't keep them clean. They're getting scratched. They're always smudged.
Yeah,
what a pain in the ass. I'm relatively new to the glasses world. Yeah, so that's things I didn't know. We'll do some more of those. I hope people like that.
Okay.
Put in the comments.
We'll take suggestions too.
Sure. Yeah, and if you liked it or didn't like it, you could still go to that Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and put a comment in there. And we listen to the comments that tip even more. So
the tip line.
You guys suck.
Is that what it is? Buymeacupofcoffee.com?
It's buymeacoffee.
Buy me a coffee
/time to lean.
and not backslash. It's a slash.
Yeah, although it might work too.
Front slash.
Yes.
Slasher.
You can support all the fine work we do here on the show. And remember to give us a 1-star review wherever you get your podcasts, and like and subscribe and whatever.
Oh, yeah. We should put these on YouTube.
You know, I'm actually working on that. They have a way of doing it, and I didn't quite figure out all the hoops to jump through. So
King does that with Sleep Baseball. I don't know if he's done it with all of them though. It's probably time consuming. Maybe you could just do the best of episodes, but how would we even know that?
What are those?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, sad. And we're working on maybe a guest for a coming episode.
I think so.
I think the next one will have a guest.
Well, we haven't had one for a while.
No.
Okay, fine.
Well, have fun in France, and
my daughter just got back. My
That's
youngest daughter
right,
just got back from
yeah.
France. Yeah, she's in high school and junior, and went to France with some French students. And she one of the one thing when I had to go to the meetings, the parent meetings to learn about it, and we found out that 2 other states were having tour groups going with them. It was kind of one of those deals. It was Pennsylvania and Ohio. And
well, as long as it wasn't South Dakota.
But I just said, those are both swing states. Make sure to talk about Joe Biden. And I said it a little
they'll
loud.
love that.
I said it a little loud. And she said, shut up. And that's the only one time she ever told me to shut up. Because she was like, this
embarrassing.
She apologized later. I'm sorry I told you to shut up. I said, no, I probably deserved it. But I was just playing. But
come on, Dad.
Yeah, I'm one of those dads.
Yeah.
But I think she had a good time. She got to see some things, but that age group is and they just run you ragged on these tours, and I think it was a little stressful, and I think they lost a kid for a little while, but now they all have phones. This is probably a double-edged sword. He probably was on his phone and didn't get off the right subway stop, but then they were able to find him with the phone. So
you have to tire them out so they don't get into trouble.
Right. Well, they kept them running, but I'm sure she'll look back on it and have more fond stories. But I think at least for part of it, it was a little pretty stressful. Well, you're on the other side of the world for the first time ever in your life. And
that's kind of going off the deep end.
It's a big fucking deal. I didn't say that.
Right.
I didn't say that at the class.
It's like Joe Biden.
That's a big fucking deal, Obama. Grandpa Joe now, not Uncle Joe.
Grandpa Joe, like in Willy Wonka.
Okay. Yeah, he's been in bed for years, and then all of a sudden they say, "Hey, we need you to run for president." And then he gets up and dances, and he's the next president.
And he's got a golden ticket.
I hope he does.
Yeah, I hope better.
I hope he's got a good ticket for this one. On that note,
Okay, well, have a good time, Phil.
Yeah, I got some vegan food.
Wahoo!
Good night.
Here's the song!
Old Roy never was a boy. He lived in a tree deep in the woods. Old Roy, aloo, alloy, can I sit and hear your stories? He gave me a cup of old fine mead, a mellow mel with apple smell, berry and citrus on the tongue, as well as tales to tell. Old Roy never was a boy. He lived in a tree deep in the woods. Old Roy, aloo, alloy, can I sit and hear your stories? A twinkle in his one good eye, a bit of cheese and fine fig jam, placed atop some toasted rye with a slice of roasted ham. Old Roy never was a boy. He lived in a tree deep in the woods. Old Roy, aloo, alloy, can I sit and hear your stories? After we ate, I couldn't wait to hear the tales he was famed for, but he was late for a date with a woman who had no neck. Old Roy never was a boy. He lived in a tree deep in the woods. Old Roy, aloo, alloy, can I sit and hear your stories?